Good morning. We have Crime Lab on Icrfm radio, bringing you Mr. Adrian Ashby, delivering the news around the world, particularly in the area, and putting his spin on it as well. So we're going to listen in on Crime Lab. So I don't know what you've been doing this morning, but here he comes. So obviously we cut off music, so he's playing lots of music this morning. So I don't know what you guys are doing, but look, I could give you a snippet of the music, but if I start bringing in the music, then Facebook cuts it off. Bearing in mind, you can actually hear this in the background, can't you? So if I stop it now. So yeah, I'm just going to see what he's got to say this morning around the news. We never know what he's going to bring. We never know what he's going to bring, but I like to listen in and have my 2 cents with what he's going to say. So I can hear the music in the background. I just hope you can. So yeah, I like to record him to see what he says. I don't know if you can hear the music, but if I could just put a pause on this would be great too, wouldn't it? So Icrfm, so this is what you're tuning into. So there you go. On air now, the Crime Lab. So we'll wait to see what he's got to say. I don't know how your days are going. I'm not long got up, as you can tell, right? But I don't really care. It's about seizing the opportunity and tuning into the things that you just tune into the things that you're unaware of. I mean, for instance, I have not listened to a single piece of news for the whole week. But what I have seen, though, is WhatsApp. Something about WhatsApp to switch off messages for all that reject the new terms. People are disappointed with it, and I writ back, hold on a minute, let's go back to the old landline. You know, the landline. Did we forget the landlines? I mean, most people, for me, I forgot that if you have the internet, then you end up getting, you have a landline. You need to get a telephone and plug it in. So generally, you do have a landline. So go back to the old landline. That was talking to people. Plus, we memorised their telephone number. Nowadays, we're not memorising anyone's telephone number, are we? We're just going, boop. And, if the phone goes, have you got anyone's number written down? Do you know their number? How long have you been with your partner or your or a friend or something like that? Let's say partner. Do you know your partner's telephone number off by heart without going into the digits? Do you? Do you know your mum's or dad's telephone number off by heart without going into the mobile phone? So it just shows that we do rely on technology. We forgot the old ways, and I think we need to communicate a lot more efficiently than what we have ever done. So we should be doing that. So the landline, I don't even know my landline number. That's because I barely give it out or I barely use it. So I would have to rely on my technology wherever I've written it and look at my number. Wow. Let's see what Crime Lab's got to say.
Good morning, Ipswich, and welcome to the Crime Lab show. Once again, it is Tuesday morning, a couple of minutes past 10 o'clock, Tuesday, the 23rd of February, 2021. How is everybody doing out there? Slightly warmer, better than the last 2 weeks of snow and some very heavy rain yesterday. Starting the show off this morning with something slightly different. The sounds of Barrington Levy, Here I Come, classic tune for you, and also a tune that you don't really hear anymore by JC Lodge, Telephone Love. So I hope you all enjoyed that this morning. Always like to play different music on the show, never stick to one type of genre. Personally, I like all types of music. So I try to share that with you. I'll be honest, sometimes a great deal of thought goes into what I'm going to play. I'll sit up for hours and hours and end and decide what I'm going to play, i.e., tomorrow. Or sometimes I'll come in, I'll think, you know what, the first thing that I pick out of the box, I'm going to play today. So I hope you liked what I've played for you so far. Anyway, moving on now. Those of you who listen to my show know exactly what I'm going to start the show with, and that is coronavirus, aka COVID-19, and the Prime Minister Boris Johnson's announcement yesterday. So, the lockdown will be lifted in phases, um, pretty much, I guess, from Mr. Johnson's speech yesterday, flanked by his chief medical officer and the other chap, forget his title now, the head of the not the NHS, but he's I think it's Chris Whitty. But anyway, without getting confused about that, let's get down to what is going to happen from between now and I believe the 21st of May, which is still what 3 and a bit months away, leading into June. The lockdown is going to be scaled back. So if you look at he gave some very specific dates, and those specific dates kind of come with like a 5 week buffer zone. So I think the first thing that is going to happen is they're going to try to return the children to school within the next 2 weeks. And even that has caused some controversy because they're saying, well, hang on a second, are you now expected to make, 1 million children, or I'm sure there's more than 1 million children, but are they all going to rush back all on, Monday morning, the 1st of March, for argument's sake, which is roughly just over seven days away? Are they going to all go back, or are you going to have it staggered? So for argument's sake, nursery school kids go back in week 1, junior school kids go back week 2, and then, for further argument's sake, secondary school children go back on the 3rd week. So I don't think that particular bit is very clear. However, it does seem like some areas of business will be open. In particular, the hospitality industry has suffered very, very badly. It's been a year and change that most pubs, clubs, restaurants, bar, McDonald's, if you can call McDonald's is and the others are fast food outlets, but I'm talking about proper sit-down restaurants where there is good caliber service. All of those types of places have suffered very, very badly. A number of them could just not maintain keeping their staff on furlough and keeping the lights on. And sadly, quite a lot of businesses, not only here in Ipswich, but across the country, have lost business. And I guess it's the same for everybody around the world on the business side of things who found themselves having no option but to close their business down because of the pressure of the virus, and respective governments putting pressure on people to say, your place is going to attract people, and if you attract people, there is going to be a spread of this virus. So people have really, really suffered. But the hospitality industry is going to have a staggered entry back into the game, as it were, where they're going to be able to, depending, again, now this is all depending on your venue and what type of venue you have. As I take it, you will be able to have a meal and alcohol, but you don't need to, as they say, have a Scotch egg to prove that you're eating something to have alcohol. But you won't be able to have it inside. You will be able to have it outside, and the rule of six, which is 6 in your personal bubble, is allowed. So that still means that if you're unfortunate enough, to have a pub uh, or some sort of restaurant that does not have a front beer garden or a rear beer garden, I don't think you're going to be in the first queue to open up. You're going to be more to the back end of May and July. So there's going to be 5 weeks between each of these segments that they're going to do this. And I believe that air travel is going to be the last one, right at the upper end of May and July, when I guess if they lift restrictions on air travel, one will be able to go back to an airport, get on a plane, and travel, without fear, or being stopped and told, oh, your flight's cancelled. But I suspect the reason that air travel has been left right to the end is because there's going to have to be some type of measures, protective or preventative measures, like there is now already. You must take a test, you must self-isolate for 14 days, you must report to this person and report to that person, depending on where you've come from in the world. Equally, I would suggest that if we are doing that for people coming in to the United Kingdom, then rest assured that when you get to St. Lucia or the Maldives or wherever it is you choose to go on holiday, that you will be subject to the same type of rules by the hosting country that you're going to. So where does that leave us now, trying to rebuild the economy? I'm just looking outside today, and it's quite a nice bright day outside, and the weather's looking good. We are now heading into March, so spring is upon us. Everybody is desperate to go out and to continue to live their life as they once did before coronavirus. So let's hope that this lockdown does work, and we do not see a return of coronavirus. Now, slightly moving away from that, but staying with that, the vaccine. That they're reporting record numbers of people having the vaccine. Also, the debate about ethnic minorities not taking up the offer of the vaccine, is kind of taken over the news a bit, actually. And I must say that it's something that is of great importance to us. But everybody, and we've discussed this on the show before, everybody has a right to decide whether or not they want to take the vaccine. We've spoken about, what if your employer now turns around and says, oh, you can't come to work because you're not vaccinated. I know there's a big push for teachers to be vaccinated, but what if a teacher, and I'm sure teachers have their own thought processes, where they might not want to take the vaccine for their own personal reasons. And I think if you're honest about it, most people, and that includes myself, are concerned that this vaccine was manufactured far too quickly. We all know that in the past, vaccines are constantly updated. The trials last for 10 years. Can you believe that? 10 years. Where will we will be in 10 years? In 10 years, I would be looking to start collecting my pension, hopefully, if there is any pension for me to collect. So, it's something that has been accelerated. Yes, I know technology has come so far that what once took 10 years, in essence, what they're telling us can be now done in 10 months. But there will still be some people out there who will be slightly skeptical of that, I being one of them. Now, I'm not suggesting that Joe Public does not take the vaccine. The idea of mass inoculations is in essence a good idea, but this wasn't something that was sitting on the shelf with this in mind that was planned ages ago. This is a reactive um, operation for something that we have just, well, say just, the last 12 months got to grips with. So what happens now? We've been told that this virus mutates and it mutates and it mutates. So what happens? We get to the end of this lockdown period to find that this Brazilian, South African, uh, COVID and Australian viruses all mangled together, to make a super duper COVID 2021. Are we certain? There was already talk at Christmas that they worried that the current, the AstraZeneca virus and the AstraZeneca vaccine and the Pfizer vaccine might not be able to cope with the South African variant, which now seems to be taking hold in South Africa, if you follow the news in that neck of the woods. So um, interesting times. We will see what is going to happen. I'm sure that the Prime Minister has his advisors on speed dial, but so far it looks like we're going to head in the right direction. So I'd like to think that people continue to obey the rules, which brings me on to my next point. Over the last week or so, there's been a number of individuals all across the country still partaking in these what I can only class as illegal house parties, because now you're not meant to be in groups of 10s and 20s in the house and all the rest of it. And have people lost their marbles? I mean, I don't want to cast any judgment on people who live in council houses. I too grew up in a council flat myself, but knowing what it's like to be in a council flat, if you live on the second floor of a council flat that is 4 or 5 stories high, and you're blasting music at 1 o'clock in the morning, there are people coming and going from your house, being loud, abusive, urinating on the stairs, and all sorts of things that go on in those particular blocks. And I'm not suggesting it's the people that live there. However, if you're attending a party there, you must be going to see somebody who actually does reside there. Now, what I've just described is a regular occurrence in most tower blocks at least once a week. But under these restrictions, it's not permitted, and people are still doing it. There is one, if you look on the Crime Lab page, I posted it late last week. It's been all over the news, where neighbours reported another neighbour having a party. And when the police turned up, the young lady tried to be clever, and she came to the door, which has all been recorded, in her dressing gown. But the police officers were quick to point out that she still had her very large eyelashes on and her earrings. So she was subsequently taken back to the flat, and they found that there was 20 odd people in there. A number of them were arrested, I suspect, for possession of drugs or some type of paraphernalia, and also the host and I believe her boyfriend arrested for breach of COVID rules. So you can't complain when you go and do silly things like that. Now, I did report right at the very beginning, if they found you hosting a party, it was going to be £10,000, that you would have to cough up. But I think that is for these super parties in warehouses where they've got big sound system speakers and light shows and equipment like that. In your house, I don't think the penalty is so severe. However, nobody wants to pay a fine, and even a fine of 500 quid in these times where most people are out of work is pretty stiff. So yeah, just, I know it's difficult. I know we've been asked to to hold on till May and June now, but think about it. We've come this far. Clean into a year. If the kids are going back to school in 2 weeks, that will start to normalize things. You'll start to see shops and stuff. They might not be open just yet, but they will start readying themselves, because the Prime Minister has assured us there will not be a lockdown 4.0. So we're going to try to hold into that. So my advice to people would be to just follow the rules and just hold on just that little bit longer, and fingers crossed that things will pick up and we'll all get back to work and the weather will change. And when the weather changes, people feel good about themselves. It's a feel good factor. I mean, I'm sitting here in the studio broadcasting to you now, and outside it's a beautiful sunny day. It's not really chilly at all, and it's uplifting, so try to bear that thought in mind. And I've got, as usual, got a number of stories, very conscious of time, so I'm going to give you a break from my voice and play some music, and I will catch you back on the other side.
So that's I apologise. That's a Crime Lab. He'll come back in a minute. What do you make of that? The 6 rules. Are we finally going to be having our life back? Not that it really made much of a difference to myself, to be honest, because I spent the majority of it in a routine, got my routine. I think that's keeping occupied makes a difference to your life. I think having something to focus on makes a difference. I think that a lot of people that, I have to say, there's a lot of people that may not go to work, and they're accustomed to not going to work because they're unable to go to work. So it's not really, it never really interrupted such a routine for those individuals because they didn't really go anywhere anyway. Okay, so a lot of people spend a lot of time in isolation. So the fact that you just hear words, it kind of releases the brain, doesn't it? The actual fact is you have the power within yourself anyway, but it's the blockage comes from I don't want to miss the radio. The blockage comes from listening to people's words. You can't do it, you can do it. That's where your mind gets blocked, and then where you have to turn around and take that time to muster out what is the requirement of what these people that you can't see, these people that are dictating to you that you don't know, what is their rules for the day, because they switch on and off like a tap, don't they? The fact that the kids can go back to school, I went like this. Oh my God, they can go back to school. It must be a relief for some children that may have been at home being abused to actually have that door opened again and somewhere to go. I wonder how many children will face or go and speak to children, the school, in regards to maybe something that they may be experiencing at home, and then how many social services are being brought back into the situation. Who knows? Because a lot of people, hello, Skipper. Many are now accustomed to saying it's now routine. You're right, it is routine. We're going right back to Crime Lab in a second, but it's definitely routine for some, and for me, I feel it taught you how to create if you're going to do anything. How can you create, and actually how do you even run a business online? And it's been an eye-opener, and people's moods have changed like the weather. I think a lot of people have lost friends, a lot of people have made new friends or associates, and a lot of people are very guarded to what is going on now. One of the things that he brought up was about that vaccine, and again, what happens if you are in a household and the husband doesn't want the vaccine and the wife does? How is that going to work? Is that going to cause separation because of fear? And I think at the end of the day, it's all about your own mindset here. I can't sway anyone from anything or tell someone what to do. I say do your research, understand, and ask yourself why you would do something. It's not really unheard of. Why would you do something like that so quick? I mean, when I hear people saying that they've taken the vaccine now, it does make me want a choice. Do I want to be next to somebody that has had that? And so that is the mindset, I'm afraid. You know, are you safe being around 50? I have a whole 101 questions around that, and I think I'll just wait. And the fact that said that the BAME are talking about, well, of course they're pushing that agenda about the BAME not wanting to take the vaccine because they were first on the chopping block. That's the thing when we heard that the vaccine was there to it's not false news, to basically put an end to certain culture. I mean, that was before they started taking vaccines. We heard all of these things. It wasn't deterrent. So, again, faith comes into it as well. Big thing with church folk, a lot of church folk, is that faith did come into it. We're supposed to be relying on the high and mighty, not man-made. Be careful of false prophets, they say. So, not getting into the church stuff, but again, have your own mind. Alcohol and meals are always about alcohol, isn't it? Always about alcohol, isn't it? As if there isn't enough damage with alcohol out there. And the travel, is that going to be a blackmail event? Vaccine, travel, vaccine, travel. I've already got my head around it. If I'm never going to travel again, and that's going to be part of the blackmail, then so be it. So be it. I will walk around the area that I need to. I'll explore. I'll make my own beach. There's enough waves. I can have my own cocktail. Don't need to travel for that. So, oh my God, listen, he's got that song, Keep On Moving. That's the song playing in the background, so you can catch up on it properly with all the music if you go to Icrfm, Community Ipswich Radio. So you won't miss out the music. It's really good music, actually. Again, this guinea pig thing, we're in a cage, are we locked down, putting the kids, it's like the kids are precious, they're the ones that are supposed to be protected first and foremost, but yet they're on the chopping block. They're going back to school or they're not. Let's have a look. Is he back? No, he's not back. So going back to school, putting the kids back to school, a lot of people have got into that homeschooling. And if they've got into homeschooling, why would they want to send them back to school to learn something that may, I don't know, you become teachers in your own home, right? So why would you put them back to school? For what? They're going to be socially isolated from the children anyway, aren't they? There's going to be regulations anyway. I don't know how people's got to be thinking on this one when it comes to sending a child to the school. I mean, for me, if they continued with the lockdown, I thought, well, what's the point in children actually going to school and trying to get an education when there's no jobs to go to because all the buildings down? So I felt that homeschooling is a good option, but then homeschooling with education and their history, but how to survive in this world. You've got a point that there are many people not at that stage in knowing how to create. So there's limitations in what that child is going to be taught if there's limitations with the parents. So I think online workshops and education and opportunities and family opportunities, people have been taking them. So they've been educating themselves. So I don't know what Boris is going to do then. I just don't know. I really want to hear this music. It's really good. It's really, really good. Skipper, it's really nice for you to be tuning in here today. Skipper does Sunday shows. And he does rice and peas. He's been doing it for years now, many, many years. And it started with him with a lot of communication, what's going on within the community, putting on events, bringing people in together. That was community. I've always supported those that support the community. And that's not going to change now, is it? So, yeah. Come on then, Crybab. What else you got to say? There's a lot more that I know this person will say this morning. Interesting. If you could hear the song, it's Going Back to My Roots, it's called. But if I just click on it right now, Facebook would just said, oh, it's getting really strict, didn't they? They're getting very strict and cutting off things that are, they say it's false news, and yet it's not false news. How can someone say, I always say it's your truth, my truth. So to tell somebody is not truthful, see, it's to supply that you hold all the knowledge and that you know all the answers, and that ain't true. because at the end of the day, everybody has an opinion. And so whatever's going on with all of this technology is a way of just controlling us. If you notice that we won't be able to get things from abroad, or they're stopping certain music from abroad or here to contain everybody in their own district, you know. So people got to get smart. You have to outsmart those that think they're smart. But it's really about creating your own space, safety, communicating appropriately with people, but learning where you're going in life, other than the news that they keep delivering. Bad news, good news. Go to the pubs, go to the pub. Listen, throughout lockdown, mate, they didn't even shut down football, all right? They didn't shut down the football. And so all of those things and those games where you should social distance, and there were no social distance in there. So it became hypocritical when it comes to men versus women, and when keeping men's stuff on, shut down the women's stuff. It became very hypocritical. And it was just like, how is that still open? How is that still open? Yet here, it's shut down. And then people were still going on holiday like there was nothing going on in the world. And I admired them, but in my mind, I felt the whole world was quiet. The whole world was shut down, but it wasn't. It's your imagination, isn't it? So if you look, if you explore, you'll know people were still going on holidays. Getting stranded abroad, and how nice is that? It'd be all right if you're all right in this set, wouldn't it? So he's coming back. So I don't know, the 6 rules. Right. So does that mean you have 6 people in your home then? Oh, dinners. Roast dinners again, yeah? I miss those dinners. Family again, yeah? Did it ever stop for some? I know nobody was going to come in between me and my blood. Did it ever stop? You know, and it was a risk. I think when COVID came out, I felt I was going to die. I thought we were all going to die. I literally thought that because it was just everywhere. And I realised it was just a mind mess. It was just a mind mess. I stopped listening to that news. I toned it off because it really did weigh you down. And I felt, you know what, if that's going to happen, then for every second, every minute that I've got left, I need to do something because I can't waste it in depression. So I've been keeping active, meeting new people, exploring my life, and challenging. It's been very challenging. It's been quite disgraceful. Here we going back to my lab.
5.7 FM.
Okay, back on the other side. Hope you enjoyed that. That was the sounds of Odyssey, going back to my roots. And before that, classic tune, Keep On Moving, Soul to Soul. Doesn't matter how many times you play that record, it still seems to sound as good as it did on the day it was released. Back in 1988, I remember that because a friend of mine was related to the Soul to Soul crew, as they were known, the Funky Dreads back then. So yeah, that takes me back. Walking to school with my Walkman. If those of you remember what Walkmans are, devices that carry tapes. And me and my friend clubbed our money together, and we got rid of the silly headphones that came with the orange ear muffs, I guess you would call them, or ear protectors, and we got the sleeky ones that go in your ear, what people are using now, because they've been around for donkeys, but people are now using them for their mobile phones. We used to use them on our Walkmans, and we used to walk to school and share an ear each. So yeah, fond memories of those days. But anyway, enough about my school days. Moving on to more serious topics. Yet more violence on our streets. A young man last week in the area of Brent, northwest London. I'm going to try and pronounce his name, and I hope I get this correct. Drequan Patterson, 16 years old, chased down by a group of young men in a vehicle It's believed that the vehicle was used to knock him down, knock him off his feet. And once that was achieved, he was then set upon by a number of other young men who fatally wounded him, and he died, you know, at the scene. Now, this again, unfortunately, is doesn't seem to be anything new. It just it went away, at this beginning of the coronavirus, because nobody was out and about. It kind of disappeared. There were only the odd insulated or isolated rather cases, but now just all of a sudden it seems that young people in particular have just decided I'm going to ignore the rules, and I'm going to go out and I'm going to go and look for trouble, and it will come out in the wash. I don't know too much about this young man other than his name, and he was 16 years old, and his life has been taken from him. Not suggesting in any way that he was involved in any shenanigans with any gangs or any postcode war or anything like that. It's just a carbon copy of the story that I read out to you last week, and yet another story the week before, where a young person is just walking down the street, and a group of boys just decide, we don't like the look of you, or you don't live around here, so we're going to taunt you and chase you around the corner. And with the adrenaline going, beg your pardon, put my teeth back in, they find themselves clearly armed with weapons that are prohibited. People refer to them now, or used to refer to them as Rambo knives. They're now calling them zombie knives, because in all essence, they look like what these kids are playing with on computer games. They're all different shapes, but the sizes of these things are ridiculous. I don't know where they are buying them. I don't know who is manufacturing such type of weapons. A video game is one thing, but I personally don't know any Japanese ninjas. So where do you go to get these zombie knives that are, some of them 24 inches long, 2 foot long? Who do these people think they are? Why do they need these? And they are walking around with impunity, and they are using them on your family members, my family members, and they're causing an awful lot of pain and suffering. Anyway, that's that story. Moving on, yet more violence. This took place in Glasgow last week, and police are asking for any witnesses to come forward. A very heinous act. A young woman was walking down the street, minding her own business, where a car pulled up alongside her and dragged her in, and she was then taken off somewhere, held against her will, and viciously sexually assaulted by two individuals in this particular car. Police are appealing for witnesses, but again, we are on lockdown. It shows that some people ignore that. Perhaps some people are using the fact that people, there will only be a few people about, so less witnesses. Could that be the reason why you would leave your house, you and an accomplice, to go out to seek and to stalk a young lady, to do such a heinous act for no reason other than one's own gratification? Absolutely shocking, terrible. So let's hope that the police have secured enough evidence to charge these individuals with the crime, or the crimes that they have committed. Elsewhere, a gang of 6 men have been jailed for 100+ years. Yes, 100 years. 6 men, they've all been given various different sentences, which all equal up to above 100. I think it's 105 years in total for the death of yet again another young man, Solomon Robinson, 26 years old, from North Yorkshire, walking home, minding his own business, going to greet his family, and for what reasons one doesn't know, maybe just didn't want to join a gang, or maybe he had something that these young men wanted, and when you see their ages, again, 16, 17, 19, 18, teenagers who should, I repeat, should be at home in this lockdown period under their parents' guise and direction, but they're out just wandering the streets aimlessly. What for? I mean, parents do need to. I know we're hopefully looking to come to the end of the lockdown, but the lockdown should not be used as an excuse. We've been reporting on this type of crime long before lockdown, and we've been asking for parents to take a more aggressive and firmer stance with their children, their young people, their teenagers under their roofs. Your kids are using your homes as sanctuaries to hide guns and drugs and knives and weapons, and then coming out on the street and using them on innocent people. Again, like I say, young man lost his life at the hands of others. Thankfully, they were caught, and this was not down here, but it doesn't really matter where it is. It's still the United Kingdom. It's still a young man taken viciously from his family for no apparent reason, and 6 young men, not even 21 years old, any of them yet, are now off to prison. Which then brings me on to another story that people here in Ipswich will feel a great sense of anger towards, as I do myself with all of these crimes that I read out to you and broadcast to you. Now, Callum Platts, of no fixed abode, but found himself, floating around the streets of Ipswich, and it's now three years back now. Found himself part of yet another gang of 5 or 6 who fatally attacked Tavis Spencer Akins here in Ipswich. It was all over the news, very high profile case. The individuals were all sentenced and given life terms, other than this Callum Platts, who was given a lesser term. Now, what also caused controversy slightly after these individuals were sent to prison is that they were then seen on social media posting and bragging about what they had done and so on and so forth. And it got to the point that the Home Secretary actually came down to Ipswich, and I did get a glimpse of her myself in Ipswich on the day she came down here to visit the family, to give them some assurances that this type of thing was going to be stamped out and not happen again. Now, just yesterday, if you check on the Crime Lab page, Facebook page, www.facebook.com, the Crime Lab, you will see, as I'm sure you already have seen, the image of Callum Platts as he is now. He's been moved to Liverpool, HMP Liverpool prison, because that was part of the punishment at the time, to separate these individuals and to break them up. So he was sent to Liverpool. I think he's been moved from Liverpool because he's attacked a prison officer in prison. So he's been sent to a more stiffer prison. But here he is on the Evening Star or Ipswich Star here in Ipswich, and he's posting selfies of himself again. So where are these individuals, and how are these individuals getting mobile phones capable of taking selfies and communicating with people on the outside? Now, phones that are no bigger than your little finger. Obviously, individuals were doing things like secreting them in body orifices and swallowing them. You can only imagine. Nevertheless, these phones are getting into prison. But I also, I think I commented on it last week or the week before, that there was an image going around on Facebook with a group of young men in prison. Well, I don't know what prison it is, but it's definitely here in the UK. And they've got flat screen tellies in their cell. They got PlayStation 4 and Xbox and all these different various video consoles. They were sitting there and they were having a whale of a time. How can this be? You're sent to prison as punishment. Look, when I was a kid, my probably because I grew up watching westerns like most of us did, but when I was a kid and I thought that you got sent to prison, the deal was you get sent to prison and they feed you bread and water. And here in England, they actually used to, as punishment, they actually used to feed you bread and water. That was your luxury, and you were lucky to get that. If you misbehaved, you went hungry. Some people are calling for the system to be hardened like it is in America. Put them on a chain gang, take them out to a quarry and make them break rocks in all weathers. But here we seem to, that the stiff upper lip we operate here doesn't seem to be that stiff. And I do think the Home Secretary needs to go and pay the family a visit and apologise for this and make sure that this type of thing doesn't happen anymore, which for me, it brings me on to my next story nicely. I feel it's a malicious communication, because sending an image of yourself, quoting the words, only 5 years to go, prison is light work. That is a blatant slap in the face, and the authorities need to make it that the statement that should come out is prison is horrible. I never want to go here again, and you shouldn't come here either. That's the message that should be going out. Not, come and let's all join hands in a cell together and play Xbox while you, me, and everybody else is out here working for a living. No, it has to stop. It really has to stop. Now, this brings me on to the malicious communications thing just before I run out of time. Robin Williams, as you know, was a senior Met officer who was dismissed and placed on the sex offenders register just recently because she received an indecent image of a child on her phone, but she didn't actually action anything about it insofar as she didn't open the image. The people that sent it to her, yes, were punished, but she was also punished. So she's lost her appeal. I believe she's going to go forward and try to appeal it again, which I think she should do, because I believe that in itself was a miscarriage of justice. Moving on, sorry, I'm rushing these stories because I want to get them all out to you. A man by the name of Joseph Kelly has also been questioned by police for trolling, believe it or not, sending inappropriate messages, hateful and hurtful messages to Sir Tom, Captain Tom Moore, the 100-year-old war veteran who walked for the NHS just recently, raising £33 million, who passed away about a week and a half ago now. And his family has received a torrent of abuse from this man on the phone, saying that he should burn and all sorts of wicked and evil things. Why do people do this? Which then brings me on further to an interview that is on my page about bullying, cyberbullying, malicious communication, hurtful content, harassment, and stalking. It's on there. It's an audio podcast. It lasts for an hour long. Please give it a listen and hear firsthand how it affects people, in particular people that are trying to do some good work in the community, find themselves targets of, I'm going to call them keyboard warriors. They're sitting at home with nothing else better to do. Yes, I know we're all on lockdown, and it's very difficult at the moment to do anything until the lockdown is been removed or eased. But my advice is stop doing it. Leave people alone. Let people do what they want to do, and especially people that are doing good work, like the lady on the interview. And when you see it, or you'll listen to it, you'll hear the pain that it's causing her going forward, doing good work. And poor Sir Tom, after having such a great 12 months, the last 12 months of his life, he turned 100 years old. He was knighted as by the Queen. He was given or raised 33 million pounds for charity. He sat down and sang a song with some of the greatest musicians around the world that also raised millions of pounds for charity. And then that song went to number one. And you've got one, and I'm going to say it, one idiot who thinks it's perfectly okay to hide behind his computer screen and send vile messages to the dear old chap's family just a week after he's passed away. No, I believe the authorities should come down very, very hard on him indeed. But with that said, I have just a few moments of the show left. So I'm going to thank you all once again for listening. Please keep your eyes out for Crime Lab TV. Also on Facebook, Know Your Rights. And let me know what you think. Leave your comments. All the stories that I've mentioned, as I always do, are on my page. Also, please donate to help suicide prevention. The Mind Over Matter project also has a video posted on there of some of the work that they're doing in the community. A very nice video taken yesterday, which I've posted on there of them helping a homeless man in the street. Very, very touching to watch that. So please look out for that and check out their website and donate to help suicide prevention. www.momproject.co.uk. And with that, I'm going to bid you good day and hope to be with you this time next week. So stay tuned. Bye for now.
Bringing you the best variety of music every day. ICR 105.7 FM.